Life Below Water is one of the Sustainable Development Goals established in 2015, providing a blueprint for a more sustainable future by conserving and sustainably using the oceans, seas, and marine resources. This film will highlight the main problems that the Sustainable Development Goal is trying to tackle through looking at the effect of global warming, economic impacts, plastic pollution, and the fishing industry. Oceans cover 71% of the planet and contain over 225,000 marine species. It is one of our most precious resources and therefore should be protected. Along with the rest of the Earth, the ocean is under many threats from global warming. The ocean helps protect us from greenhouse gas emissions as they absorb the excess heat. This can lead to rising ocean temperatures and ocean acidification. Even a temperature rise of 1 or 2 degrees can have a devastating effect on marine life and ecosystems. Coral reefs are particularly vulnerable to this as they can suffer high mortalities as a result of coral bleaching. This is when corals lose their symbiotic algae, which gives them their pigmentation. The rate of ocean acidification will accelerate over this century unless CO2 emissions are curbed dramatically. Global warming has also led to an increase of melting of ice sheets, ice caps and glaciers, leading to sea level rise which could change the coastlines around the world and be the cause of serious flooding. Ice melting can also lead to a decrease in albedo, resulting in an increased warming effect and an acceleration in climate change.
The marine economy is a vast enterprise that generates $1.5 trillion to the world's economy. The ocean supports many businesses, including fisheries, offshore oil, wind and gas, shipbuilding, and research. 3 billion people rely on the oceans for their livelihood, with the vast majority in developing countries. The commercial fishing industry alone contributes $144 million and provides jobs to 1.2 million people. The ocean is one of the largest pathways for transport of global trade, with 90% of the world's goods being dispatched across the ocean. This figure is set to triple by 2050, yet shipping only accounts for 1 to 3% of the world's GDP. 61% of the world's oil is shipped across the ocean daily, with roughly 59 million barrels being transported. Oil prices are thought to increase inflation and reduce economic growth, which can then impact the cost of shipping, manufacturing, and heating. Power generation from wind farms are a much better alternative as they generate jobs around the plant and stimulate the local economy. These benefits come through taxes, jobs, and contributions to the economy. Research also brings benefits to the community as it helps to contribute a positive impact on the economy, with research grants helping to develop more organisations and other research projects.
Plastics are an essential part of human life. They solve many societal challenges, from food and drink packaging to textiles to medical innovations. However, the release of plastics into our rivers and oceans is having an increasingly damaging effect on life within them. It is estimated around 14 million tonnes of plastic enter the oceans annually. Plastic items such as bags and bottles that are not disposed of correctly often get washed into rivers, which in turn feed the oceans our plastic. This pollution causes direct and indirect impacts on marine ecosystems. Firstly, plastic debris accounts for 92% of entanglement and ingestion cases in the marine environment. The main ingestion pathway of plastics is through microplastics. They are known to be highly dispersive in water and toxic due to their ability to accumulate inside an organism. Microplastics tend to be ingested by smaller organisms and then bioaccumulate through the marine food web. A reduction in plastic pollution in oceans requires a coherent global effort. International legislation, such as the 1972 London Convention, must be adhered to and constantly monitored. An improvement in waste management infrastructure in developing countries and policies to promote circular economies will help ease the pressure on our oceans.
Roughly 3 billion people rely on the ocean and its inhabitants as their primary source of protein. This demand has led to a fourfold increase in global production of seafood over the past 50 years. With the average person eating twice as much seafood as they did half a century ago, the pressure on fish stocks is rising globally. One of the main environmental threats towards our ocean and a key part of SDG 14 is overfishing and the transition to more sustainable fishing worldwide. With close to a third of all fish stocks being at biologically unsustainable levels, estimates suggest that 15% of world total annual fishery catch come from illicit fishing. Decreasing fish populations are closely related to poor governance and management of local areas, as well as subsidies that contribute to harmful fishing methods. A stock that is overfished can lead to a collapse in the whole ecosystem. This, along with destructive fishing techniques, can have severe impacts on biodiversity by not only affecting the harvested fish, but also the other marine life that gets caught up in the activities through bycatch, for example. The fishing industry also contributes to 1.5% of anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions, which in turn induces ocean warming, which can alter food webs and cause large-scale redistribution of marine species through tropical drifting. This unsustainable short-term outlook has meant that we are missing out on enough protein for an extra 72 million people per year. By 2050, an additional 75 million tonnes of fish will be needed to meet consumption, meaning more sustainable fishing practices will need to be adopted around the world. Sustainable fishery management is key and can be achieved through cooperation at all levels of government organisations. Enforcing these laws and regulations, as well as educating consumers on ethical seafood choices, are key areas that will need to be implemented in order to achieve sustainable fisheries worldwide.